And
yeah, unfortunately, I'm built for a wide-angle lens.
and go.
Hi folks, if I could have your attention for just a few moments, that would be great. My name is Mike. I'm the practice representative for Weiss Chiropractic here in Spring Lake. I want to first of all thank you guys for eating all the cupcakes. I really appreciate that. As some of you may have guessed, that all the cupcakes made it here from the bakery. So I want to thank you guys for taking some of the pressure off me by eating the cupcakes. One promise that I'll make to you is the only promise that I'll make today, and it's this: if you give me your undivided attention for the next few minutes, I will not waste your time. Can we agree to that? Great, thanks. The reason I wanted to do that is because we do have an important topic to talk about today, and that's how to stay young for the first 100 years. And when you hear me say that, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, Mike, you're being kind of a bit optimistic, aren't you? The first 100 years? Well, actually, no. Science and medicine have progressed to the point where our lifespans have dramatically increased. Back in 1900, the average lifespan was only 49 years. Now in our country, the lifespan is approaching 80 years and growing on from there. And in fact, the folks at the University of Texas tell us that by 2050, there will be over 800,000 adults living past the age of 100 in our country, and many of them will live to up to age 150. So we're much more mindful now of what it's like to have an aging population. We've gone from being rare to live to 100, or it's possible to live to 100, to now it's probable that many of us will be living past the age of 100 and much farther than that. Because we have a larger, growing baby boomer aging population, we're more mindful of the problems that come with an aging population. You know, back when I was a kid, nobody thought about Alzheimer's. Not that it wasn't out there, not that we didn't know what it was, but you just didn't know people who had Alzheimer's. It wasn't a topic of conversation. Nowadays, we're much more mindful of the ravages of that disease and what we can do to try and prevent that. Cosmetics is another area where we've had a large degree of progress in science and medicine. You know, it used to be when I was a kid, Mom would slather us up with sunscreen just so she wouldn't have to hear us whine about having a sunburn the next day. Well, nowadays, people slather their kids with sunscreen because they know it's important to protect them from the sun's rays and help prevent skin cancer from when their kids get older. They're taking a preventive act to help prevent a problem farther down the road. Smart move to do that. One of the things that we have learned as well with an aging population is that now we know that the number one most common cause of functional disability of people over age 50 are spinal disorders. As a matter of fact, it's gotten to a point now where it's almost a cliche. If I start the phrase, you can probably finish it. Help me, I've fallen and I can't get up. And some of us sometimes laugh about that. It's kind of a joke because we as humans have the capacity to laugh in the face of tragedy. And losing your mobility is a tragedy and a preventable one. You know, if someone was to break into your house tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon, would you do something about it? Sure you would. You'd have your house locked up tight. You sure wouldn't be here at work. You'd be ready to defend yourself and your property if you knew that was going to happen. Well, we know just from the progression of things that pain and immobility is going to happen to folks as they get older. And that's important when you're considering having a longer lifespan, because if you live to age 105 and you lose your mobility and have pain at age 65 or 75, that's 30 or 40 years of pain and loss of mobility. If I was a judge and I was going to sentence you to 30 or 40 years of pain and loss of mobility, you would say, well, wait a minute, Mike, that's not fair. I didn't do anything. I must tell you that time isn't fair. It will sentence you to 30 or 40 years of pain and loss of mobility simply because you didn't do anything. But it doesn't have to be that way. We have had improvements in medicine, and some of the ones that people are more familiar with, for example, in dentistry. We now have fewer cavities than we've ever had before. We can align your teeth straight with braces. We can put in whiteners so you have a nice bright white smile. In cosmetics, we've had over an explosion of over 465% in cosmetic procedures in the last few years. If your skin gets old and wrinkled, we can inject you with fillers. We can make your lips plump with collagen on that. But the thing is, those are things that are on the outside. We tend to be mindful of that which we see and not so mindful of the things that we don't see. That's why I've had an explosion in some of these cosmetic procedures. You know, ladies, if you think about it in one of your talks amongst yourselves, you've never probably said anything like, did you hear Kim got engaged? She is so lucky. He treats her like a queen, and he has the most awesome spine. We don't have those kinds of conversations. The fact of the matter is, if you worry about the stuff on the outside, if you have your perfect teeth and you're looking nice and young, but you don't take care of your mobility, the net result is you're the nicest looking guy in a wheelchair. It doesn't have to be that way. That's why we say if your spine were on your face, you would probably take better care of it. We're mindful of the things that we see and not so much of the things that we don't see. That's why preventative care is so important, because we realize that there is no such thing as a spine transplant. Once your mobility is gone, there's nothing that we can do about that. If you lose your teeth, we can hook you up with dentures. If you get old and wrinkled, we can do cosmetic surgery. If you, God forbid, lose a hand or a foot, we can hook you up with a prosthetic. We can't do that with your spine. There is no such thing as a spinal transplant. You know, a lot of folks, when they think spine, think back, and that's natural to do that, but a lot of folks also have neck pain, and you want to consider the fact that it's all one unit with your spine, your neck, and your back. Recent studies of over 10,000 adults, 1 in 3 had experienced neck pain. There's a reason why we're familiar in our culture with the phrase someone is a pain in the neck. It's a common thing to have happen. Also with folks who have had lower back pain, a study of those, 85 of every 100 adults who had lower back pain also experienced neck pain. Kind of makes sense if you think about it. That's the goal of preventive chiropractic care, is to prevent those kinds of problems from happening. Because we know that's what will happen as nature takes its course. The graph that we had here kind of illustrates that. If you guys remember this from math class, your numbers along the bottom here are your age, the numbers at the sides, your percent of mobility that you have, and that peaks at around age 25 and falls off down from there. Now there are some hallmarks that you might have on this downward slope. Has anyone heard of the dad sound? What's the dad sound? It's like this. Oh, let me reach for the remote control. Got it. Well, time to put the star on top of the Christmas tree. Got it. What's the dad sound mean? Not moving as well as you used to on that. You know what replaces the dad sound? Let me reach for the remote. Oh, that hurts. You know what replaces, oh, that hurts? Honey, toss me the remote. I don't feel like moving, would you? Thanks. You know what replaces not feeling like moving? Sweetie, would you pick that up for Grandpa? I just don't bend like that anymore. That's the natural progression of things. It doesn't have to be that way. Although you're probably thinking to yourself at this time, well, thanks for telling me this, Mike, now. I've never done anything about my spine, never seen a chiropractor, never thought twice about it, just kind of put up with things. Is it too late for me on that? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. The whole goal of preventive chiropractic care is to shift this graft so you have vitality and pain-free mobility throughout your entire lifespan. That's the goal of preventive chiropractic care. So we can change that scale for you. Now, a lot of folks, when they come into our office, come in because they're in pain. And pain really is your body's last gasp for help, well, in terms of when something is wrong. It's kind of like when your significant other has been bugging you to get something done, and they finally do that one thing that will get you to get off your butt and do it. That's what pain is for your body. It's your last gasp of help to try and get things straightened around. So we want to make sure and take care of pain when you come into our office, but we don't want to just stop there. We want to change that scale, shift that over, and there's a process that's involved in terms of doing that. First one, of course, is pain relief. We want to relieve your pain. And pain comes from your spine being out of alignment. And the fancy chiropractic term for being out of alignment is subluxation. Subluxation basically means your spine is not aligned the way that it should be. And if it's out of alignment far enough, it will press on nerves, and that's what causes pain. So the first thing that we want to do is align your spine, relieve that subluxation, make sure that you're pain-free from that. And we do that with adjustments. Adjustments are simply putting your spine back in the proper alignment. That's what's going to relieve that pressure. It's going to allow for your complete mobility and functionality of what your spine does for you. And so folks come in and get adjustments to relieve that pain, but we don't want you to stop there. We want to get to the underlying causes of what led to that pain. And that requires what we call stabilization. Stabilization is just what it sounds like. Our bodies are wonderfully adaptive. They get used to holding your spine in a subluxated position. And what happens is, once we put it back the way that it's supposed to be, your body just is kind of a slow learner. It wants to go back to the way things used to be. You ever seen someone who you know had braces and their teeth aren't exactly straight, and you say, "No, wait a minute, didn't you have braces?" And they'll say, "Well, yeah, I didn't wear my retainer as long as I should have." Well, that's because your mouth got used to having misaligned teeth. And even after the dentist, in that time and process, straightened your teeth up, your mouth wanted to go back to the way things were. Your spine works very much the same way. So once we have things aligned with your spine, we want to make sure that your body is in effect retrained to having your spine in proper alignment. And that takes some time to do. It's like anything else you would have in healthcare. When the dentist wanted to fix your teeth, it took some time to align them. If you want to get yourself in better shape and go to the gym, you can't just walk in, grab weights once and be done. It takes some time and commitment to do that. That's what stabilization does. Once we have your spine stabilized, it's maintenance. Just keeping things the way that they should be. And that would be a regular schedule of coming in for adjustments to maintain your proper spinal alignment. Being the cynical consumers that we are, people often think, aha, there's the hook. I want you to come in and see the chiropractor for the rest of your life. And you know what? You are absolutely right. No responsible healthcare professional is going to tell you to ignore your health. It just doesn't happen. When you go in to see the dentist, they didn't clean your teeth and say, oh, well, your teeth are clean now. Have a nice life. When you went to see the doctor, they didn't go, oh, your blood pressure is good. Great. Have a nice life. There's things that we need to do to maintain our health, and the same is true of the health of your spine. And that's what the idea behind maintenance is that we want to make sure that you have a lifetime of pain-free mobility by maintaining your spinal health. That's why we call it staying young for the first 100 years. I myself came to chiropractic by way of an auto accident. I was a passenger in an AMC Gremlin. That tells you how old this story is. We were out on the highway. We got hit from behind by a full-size pickup truck towing a 20-foot boat. We lost that accident. Now, at the time, I was in that peak of mobility and being pain-free at that time. And for days after the accident, I was like this. Yeah, Main Street's over that way. My body had just stiffened up from the thousands of pounds of force that had smacked into it. And my buddies were saying things like, take a few aspirin, you'll be fine in a couple of days, let's kind of work itself out. And I realized, no, I just took thousands of pounds of force. This isn't right. I need to go see someone. And so I went to see a chiropractor and was educated, much like I'm educating you folks today, on chiropractic care. And I've stuck with it since then. And every now and then I have conversations with contemporaries of mine. I'm 53. And like one I had this last spring talking with a buddy of mine. We were both tired of the Michigan winter, had it with the snow, spring needed to come, and I was saying, yeah, I was tired of shoveling snow over 6-foot tall banks at the end of my driveway. And my buddy says, shoveling snow? What are you shoveling snow for? Why don't you get yourself a snowblower? Doesn't shoveling snow hurt your back? Well, actually, no, it doesn't. But I realized when he said that he had just internalized and accepted the fact that he was going to get older, he was going to have pain, and he was going to go out and buy gadgets to get around the pain because that was just the way things were going to be, and had never considered the fact that maybe he didn't need to be in pain. It didn't have to be that way. You may be thinking, well, that's great for me, Mike, but what about the people I care about, my friends, my family, my children in particular? What about their spinal health? Is there an age when it's too young to begin chiropractic care? When is it appropriate to start chiropractic care? And the fact of the matter is, it's never too soon to start chiropractic care. If you think about it, we've kind of developed the attitude that kids are resilient. They can fall down, they bounce back, they can take it. Their bodies are used to developing as they grow older, and we don't tend to think about all the forces that their bodies run into, and as part of growing up with that. Did anybody build a ramp for their bike when they were a kid? Yeah, I did that. And I figured out that if I came all the way down the street and through the driveway and into the backyard, I could hit that ramp with enough speed that I could jump 2 lawn chairs. You know, I figured out how I could jump 2 lawn chairs. I tried to jump 3 lawn chairs. It was not pretty. The most painful part was having to explain to my dad why one of our lawn chairs was all mangled now. And back then, nobody wore a bike, or nobody wore a helmet when out there riding their bike. Now I don't think there's a mother in this room that would send out their kids to play on a bike without wearing a helmet. When my nephew goes out rollerblading, he's wearing more protective gear than the average Marine. He's got on his brain bucket, as he calls it, his elbow pads, his wrist braces, his knee pads. If you think about it though, when's the last time you saw a kid out playing with a spinal pad? Football, maybe, that would be about it with that. There again, we think about the things that we can see and not be as mindful of the things that we can't see. And that's important to think about when you're looking at your child's health with that. We do have a special today to help ease your way into a path of health and wellness. We call it the How to Stay Young Special. What we're doing is that we're taking a $20 donation that we're giving to Love Inc. Many of you folks are familiar with them. They do wonderful work here in our community. And for your $20 donation, you get a complete consultation with the doctor, an orthopedic and neurological exam, which can include x-rays if needed on that. And he reports those findings to you so you can make your own informed decision about what's important for you with your chiropractic care with that. And so we take that $20 donation today and set you up with an appointment time. And so the reason we do that is because we live here too. And one of our core values is doing right by doing good. And we realized the right thing to do is to spread wellness in our community, because the more health and wellness that we have, the better life is for everybody here. And so I'll close by giving you folks the opportunity to do something right for you by doing good for others. You can work with your donation to Love Inc., where I can sign you up today for an appointment time. And I'll come around here and we can get all of that done for you folks right here today. I want to thank you for your time. You've been very kind.